sneak off.
No, it's totally okay. Hey, wow. I'm not in my basement tonight.
You're upstairs, above ground.
I'm above ground and in a different house. Hello, Dr. Stephanie Lonsway. How are you?
Everyone. Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. You know, we have a fun history, you and I, from graduate school to mentoring to you were the first clinical director at OCD.
Everyone.
Because I got a call from Steve and said, I need a clinical director. I said, I know someone. And then I became the clinical director. Look at that.
Worked out great.
Jeez.
And I got to have a second kid.
There you go. Yeah.
And direct the CE program, our continuing education program that we run for our therapists.
How fun are we?
Perfect.
I mean, yeah, works out nicely. And since I'm here, I figured we'd do the webinar together.
Mm-hmm. Hello from Michigan, everyone.
Yo, what up? All right. So let's jump in and see what we got here. So first of all, we have two questions. Is it possible to expand our services to European clients as well? Yes. So give us a call at NoCD. You can go to nocd.com or treatmyocd.com if you're interested in talking to one of our therapists. We can set up a meeting with our care team. And also, you would like to get a license in ERP. Is it possible you live in Greece? I'm not familiar with the Greece regulations. Are you?
I'm not, but okay. I know that we do have some learners that join us over at the OCD Academy from Greece.
Really?
So you do have a few people from your community who are learning with us, and we invite you to join us too.
Tell them about OCD Academy then, for any of the therapists listening tonight who might be interested in some things.
Yeah, so OCD Academy is a continuing education program that we have put together and gotten accreditation through the American Psychological Association, Counseling Association, Social Work Associations to say that we're accredited and approved to offer ongoing education, which we all need to keep our license. So it's great. And we offer it for free. Almost every single week, we offer a live program as well as home study programs. And a lot of the content focuses on making us better providers, staying updated on the latest and greatest with what's going on with the research, and thinking together with the broader community, both within NoCD and outside of NoCD. And Patrick teaches a ton of the courses. You'll be well entertained, I promise.
Once a week, we should do one a day. How about that? Let's do that.
I mean, you did 3 today already. I've seen him do 3 talks today. So, okay, I'll hold them to it, you guys.
Yeah, you're not busy enough. You can just, we'll need some more. All right. Finn says, hi, Doc. You just realized you have OCD after 10 years of chaos. Well, we do know this. It takes a long time sometimes to get diagnosed with OCD, and so many people can suffer for so very long, unfortunately, before recognizing it. Finn says, it feels good to have an answer, but also overwhelming. Is OCD responsible for all your problems? Well, let's see what you describe here. Your biggest issue was always social anxiety. Can OCD cause you to obsess that there is something wrong with you? How you hold your body and make eye contact? Yes. In fact, there's ocular Tourettic OCD, which is concerns about staring at people. And usually that staring is at places you feel like you shouldn't stare, like genitals or boobs or butts or something of that nature. And so many people are very concerned about that. But there can also be, what is the right level of eye contact to make in conversation, which you can see in social anxiety very much. But if you start to overthink everything all the time, could become an obsession potentially as well in that. And it says you don't have any physical compulsions, but you're lost in thought. So potential some rumination there, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Which rumination can be a compulsion. We don't always recognize it that way when you're just looking it up online, but repeating your thoughts over and over again, letting it be time consuming, being invested in that, it's detrimental.
Absolutely. Yeah. In any case, thank you for being so kind and reassuring. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Finn.
Yes. Awesome to have you here. You watch the Q&As and it's helping you so much to hear our talking. Good. Light bulbs are clicking. We like that. Unless they're not supposed to click, and that means they're exploding. No, never mind. I'm just saying. I tease.
Third one of the day.
Recycling those jokes, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. We appreciate it. Let's see. Xdemi Skix. I'll go with that. Yeah. Can OCD change your mindset, but you don't like it? For example, pedophilic OCD. Can OCD make you feel false feelings when you're speaking to people? If you respond, thank you very much. Well, we'll take the thank you because we're going to respond. The answer is yes. I'll just, as a quick response, 100% absolutely. Here's the thing. Do you know many people who like their OCD mindset? No? You're sure? No, but anyone coming to mind? No. Nor do I. So I think we'd all agree that people are not big fans of the OCD mindset. And in terms of false feelings, I think, well, boy, that's just about one of the most fun things for OCD in the world is a false feeling, right?
Loves it.
Yeah. I mean, OCD wants you to doubt what you're actually feeling and get you to question if you're actually feeling it. And maybe you're not really feeling it. Maybe you're feeling something else and you're just denying it. And maybe you should really think about that thing, and on and on and on. And so OCD leads you to feel like maybe everything's false. Reality's false. Yeah. The things you see are false. The things you hear might not be what you hear. We've worked with lots of people who have done things like, I remember working with someone once who heard about a hit and run on television and tried to call the police on herself, even though her car didn't match the description of the car that was in the hit and run. But she doubted the things that she had heard and her senses in that experience.
And states away. Same story from another person where we were having her drive around the neighborhood and keep going when she thought she heard a bump because she was questioning that. Did I hit someone? Was that me?
Yeah.
Did I cause harm? Yeah.
Of course, OCD is going to tell you to get an absolute answer, but it is also nicknamed the doubting disorder, which means it will doubt every answer you give it. Therefore, I think it's pretty hard to give an absolute answer to something that doubts everything. I don't know if you've found a way to do it or not, but
not yet.
No. Okay. Our patients keep asking us, but we missed that class. We went to same graduate school. Maybe they didn't teach that class.
Oops.
Yeah. Our bad. Maybe one more class to go back for.
There
you go. Yes. How to give 100% reassurance to people with OCD. That will be our new CE course that will never be released because we will never actually figure that one out because
we wish we could.
We wish we could.
Yeah.
But I think the hardest part, tell me what you think. I think the hardest part of this is that people have to accept the fact that they're not going to get 100% answer.
Yep.
And when people finally do accept that, things get easier for them. Their life really does start to get easier when they accept that. But until then, man, it is tough.
I feel like when we're having those conversations, sometimes I'll bring up, well, what areas of your life are you already accepting uncertainty to show them that you're actually doing it already. And this is a strength, but OCD has just really caught your mind up in this doubting part for this particular subject or this area at this time. But you're still able to tolerate uncertainty in other areas or doubt in other areas of your life because we have to, we're human. And I think that's often like a helpful exercise is to kind of remind yourself that you are able to do it in other areas.
Yeah.
How can I bring that back to here?
Yeah. I mean, when we're done here, we have to walk down your steep stairs.
Very steep.
And there's a baby gate there with a bar that I could trip over and just launch myself down the stairs on.
My son did fall down the stairs.
Did he once? Yeah.
He's okay.
He's wasn't today. But sure. So we don't have a guarantee, do we? Yeah. No.
It might happen.
It could. Right. And if she's behind me, she might push me down this. Who knows? By the end of this,
day.
It is a long. Yeah, you got that right. All right, let's see who's next. I love the name sometimes. And non breezy day.
I like that.
And it was kind of a it was a hot day.
Oh my God, we're sweating.
It's a little
Sorry,
warm.
everyone.
Yeah, and someone had the idea to go to dinner and sit outside tonight too.
It's a beautiful view on the lake.
It was.
You're all right.
We lost 6 pounds in the sweating, but otherwise, yeah, hydrate. Yes. Thanks for what you do. Well, of course, non breezy day. Appreciate it. You've somehow gotten afraid your ERP will push you into the thoughts. Your therapist speaks in riddles. Well, we do like a bit of a riddle therapist sometimes, but and B, I'm have a good day and fear will creep in. How do you handle it? You want to take one of those?
Oh gosh, I just feel like I can I've had that conversation before with my clients about that fear creeping in, and I don't want to turn a good day into a bad day, and so I think we've, done some exposure therapy around that. Like, let's pick a time when we are having a good time and see what happens. Can we handle it still? Can we redirect our mindset at that point in our behaviors and see if we can break through in those moments? But to me, that's often a sign that things are getting much better. If you're not willing to kind of see the opportunities when OCD is not sneaking in versus when it might, I think you're on the right track. Like, keep pushing through with what you're doing. And then also, anything you want to add to that?
No, but I do like this idea that can ERP push you into thoughts or maybe even make something bad happen? Here's the thing. I can never give a guarantee when doing any kind of therapy, ERP or not, that something uncomfortable won't happen. Right. So, and by coincidence, you might see things happen. I remember one time back at the hospital, one of our students was driving with someone who had a lot of driving anxiety, and they actually got rear-ended while they were just at a light and someone was texting and didn't pay attention. It wasn't a ton of damage or anything, but the police came, took the info and everything, and it wasn't this person's fault. And the student at first was kind of concerned, but was so very impressed by the idea that at the end of it, they wanted to continue driving. Right. So now here's someone who's actually been out doing the ERP to try to show, hopefully, first of all, that the things that I worry about probably don't happen. But there's always a caveat to that, which is, and if they do, I can handle it. Right.
Absolutely. Biggest learning moments in our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes people miss that, or if they do, I can handle it piece. They're always hoping for, I don't want it to happen. And boy, again, we wish we could give you that guarantee that was the case. We wish we could promise you that something bad won't happen, but still thinking about those stairs, they are pretty steep. I slipped on the rug earlier a little bit.
That's true.
So
at the base of the stairs.
Yeah, woo, that was a little stickum on that maybe or something.
Reminding me, watch it, you're at my house. No.
How's that homeowner's insurance, by the way?
It's great. My husband's in insurance. All right, we don't have to test it.
No, we won't have to test that.
Oh man, but yeah, if you're having a good day and a fear will creep in, how to handle it. Yeah, I would just have your exposure, embrace it, do your exposures when that happens, and you've done the practice, you've put in the work already, you have an idea about what to do, and it will pass with time. That's what happens if we don't get in the way with our compulsions. Things will pass.
I want to add a little to maybe the question itself, because I think there's 2 points.
Yeah.
Some people want to have a good day and not have an obsession at all. But even those of us without OCD, I don't know that I've ever gone a day without having a weird or some kind of intrusive thought pop into my head. So if that ruins a day, then every day of my life has been ruined, if that's the case, point. Right? So first of all, that's not what we're going to be shooting for or working toward, because that's not realistic. Even for people who don't have OCD, that's not realistic. So then B comes the idea that a fear will creep in. Now, that gets to this question. Is all fear bad? And does being afraid of something then mean that horrible, awful things are going to happen? I've loved the phrase that I heard recently. You can only be brave if first you're afraid.
I see that firsthand with my 3-year-old. Not afraid. Just totally actually fearless. He's not being brave. He just goes for it.
Tonight in the pool, actually. Yes. Yeah.
He's all right. Again, everyone, he's all right. I'm just going to go.
Yeah. I love it. Mom of the year.
My husband's fabulous.
Yes. Yes. We were at dinner. We'll blame him. Yes. Okay. But, you're right. But then there's other kids who will just overthink absolutely everything, feel the fear, and do nothing. And then there's those are the 2 extremes, but then there's where most people are in the middle, which is I'm going to feel a feeling, recognize it's there, and I'm going to still do it anyway. And you know what? In many ways, there was fact, I go back to Yerkes Dobson all the time. Back in the 1920s, two researchers, Yerkes and Dobson, were looking at performance and found that people performed best when they had some of that emotional experience, when they felt some of that tension and some of that fear. People performed equally poor if they had none whatsoever or if they had a ton of it. So one of the things that I see in treatment is this: the only way to be okay is to feel nothing. And that's not right. That's not true at all. You're going to actually do best when you feel something, when you have some butterflies or things like that. There's nothing wrong with those whatsoever. But due to something that we call anxiety sensitivity, where we overinterpret all sorts of sensations and then believe, oh, wait, I'm feeling something that's bad, I shouldn't be feeling it. We want people to recognize, no, it's actually probably very helpful to feel it. I hope that before somebody goes up to bat and it's the bottom of the ninth and there's 2 outs, that they've got some jitters going on. I hope they have a little bit of butterflies in their stomach, because they're probably going to have a better chance of hitting the home run than someone who's like 100% afraid or 100% cocky that they're going to do it. No doubt. It's definitely going to happen.
Well said.
Thank you. All right. Sunshine Bird. Oh, longtime listener, by the way, who's here. You want to take that one? Or?
Sure. I find the depression is starting to not give me energy to do ERP. I get sad with not progressing more with my recovery and get upset with my husband since he doesn't give in to my OCD. Sometimes he checks and reassures me, but only when I get really anxious. Any thoughts on how spouses can help? And how can I stay motivated when my depression and anxiety is strong?
I got some ideas.
All
right.
Start. Yeah.
Well, first of all, nice job on your husband for not giving in most of the time, but even better job for your husband to not give in all of the time. So one of the things that I've done in families is a worry journal. And what you can do and have your husband do is you guys get a journal and you put it on a table in your house. And if you ask your husband a question that you've asked already, he goes to the journal, he writes down the question, then he writes down the answer. And if you ever ask it again, you say, that's in the journal. We're never talking about that ever again. The answer's in the journal. Now, you might think, well, isn't that reassurance seeking? But Sunshine, you're going to memorize that journal real quick, and you're never going to go back and look at the journal anyway, because you already know what the journal says. And your husband is going to be able to say, I did answer that question. Everything's in the book. There's nothing more to add there. That's all that it is. And that's what the doctor really kind of instructed. The other piece in terms of depression, I look at depression like this. To be diagnosed with depression, you have to have one of the first 2 diagnostic criteria. Number 1 is I feel depressed. And number 2 is I've lost interest or pleasure in things I once enjoyed. Well, guess what OCD picks on? The things you enjoy and that you get pleasure from. So now if you stop doing the things that you enjoy and get pleasure from because of OCD, why wouldn't you feel depressed?
Right.
Because
I would.
Yeah, right. You're no longer engaging in those things whatsoever. So that's where OCD and depression can almost become a flywheel and just build upon each other. And this thing gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So in a weird way, if you want your depression to decrease, do more exposure and response prevention therapy to your OCD. And what has been found study after study, and we've investigated this, and we did this back at the hospital when we were doing research together back there too. We found that even if we weren't necessarily touching depression as a target of what we were doing, people who worked on their EOP or ERP, boy, it has been a third talk of the day. People who worked on their ERP actually saw a decrease in their depression scores.
Significantly. It was like 40%. With it not being the main target.
Right.
Stress also decreased and quality of life increased by continuing to engage in ERP. So yeah, Sunshine Bird definitely makes sense to keep working on. What do you think about like values-based ERP?
I love it. Yeah, talk about it. Go.
So there's this concept to, usually we'll kind of like build a hierarchy with someone and what are the fears you came in with and concerns you came in with and build your ERP, a plan around that. And sometimes that already naturally includes like values-based exposures, which to us mean like, what are you avoiding in your, or not doing in your everyday life that you value and like you were alluding to earlier, would like to be doing. And so maybe it's like your hierarchy could be updated, or you just, switch it up for a few days and do the exposures that would bring you closer to opportunities for pleasure and joy. Again, so that you're not only affecting the OCD, but you're giving yourself an opportunity to even see if you could feel better if you do that activity at all.
Yeah. Yeah. If you focus on the things that you value in life and you recognize that, am I working toward my values by doing what OCD wants me to do? Or would I live my values more if I did the opposite of what OCD wants me to do? And boy, the answer's opposite. I mean, we just see that time and time again. So then it's interesting. What do you actually value? Do you actually value satisfying OCD? Or do you value all the other things in your life that aren't OCD related? Unfortunately, we see a lot of people trying to satisfy OCD under the false belief that there is a chance to satisfy OCD and then it will go away. It will leave me alone. If I just do everything it tells me to do, then all will be fine and everything will be okay. Have you once found a person with OCD in your entire career? And remember, you were trained by a really great therapist.
Some will say.
Some will.
It's true. It's true.
So will this guy. So
world renowned. Okay, guys.
but have you ever once met a person who did everything their OCD wanted them to do, and then they said, "Okay, OCD told me all good. I'm going to go now."
Never. It's horrible. Right. Why can't it just be satisfied? It can't.
It is the doubting disorder. Maybe it should be called the insatiable disorder, right? Where you can't ever satisfy it. And I think the Greeks had it right when they wrote the myth of Sisyphus, right? When the gods tricked Sisyphus into believing he could get out of Hades if he just took that stone and got it to the top of the hill without telling him the hill was 1 degree too steep and the stone was 1 pound too heavy for him to make it there. And he spends eternity trying to get this thing up there. And that's what I think it's like for OCD. You're so close. Wow, you were really, really close at it. And then there's, of course, even if you were to achieve anything that OCD wanted, on the off chance that were to happen, OCD would say, "Great job. Now round 2." And now you've got to do round 2. Because that was just the first step in the whole process. So there's an infinite amount of rounds then, and therefore no one has ever spent an entire life trying to satisfy OCD and actually doing it. I mean, my oldest patient I ever treated was almost 90 years old and had OCD for 70 years and had spent 70 years doing compulsions and still hadn't satisfied his OCD enough.
Wow. And
finally, at almost 90, he said, "I'm probably not going to live that much longer. I'd like a few years of life without OCD influencing me." And after just a couple of months, he was doing things that he'd never done in his life before. And it was great. And he finally realized, I've been lied to for 70 years and I've believed the lies for 70 years.
Betrayal.
Yes. Total betrayal. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and just the one second too, going back to the thought about how spouses could help. I don't know what you think about this idea. And obviously we don't have all the context, but I also wonder if maybe your spouse has some ideas for some values-based exposure, some stuff that maybe you guys as a couple haven't been getting out and doing that they would be interested in. So depression sometimes can also become hard to think of what to be doing.
Yeah.
So that's another way, Sunshine, that maybe your spouse can help. And I love that. I love the name Sunshine Bird. Thanks for the questions.
Were there any other things? The only other one is sometimes he reassures you, but only when you get really anxious. And there's the problem. Your threshold for getting really anxious then is going to drop over time so that your husband will check more. I mean, your children are lovely, but I'm going to bet that there's times they throw tantrums, hoping mom and dad.
3 today.
Yeah, just hoping mom and dad will give in, right? And there's a fascinating phenomenon in psychology, which is the fact that you don't have to be rewarded every single time. As long as you're just rewarded once in a while, that actually maintains behavior for a very, very long time. And so that's why slot machines work so well. You only get something once in a while. And you may still lose all night, but as long as once in a while you get a little something, you're likely going to do it more and more. So if I sit you down a slot machine and the first 10 pulls you do, you get $100 every pull, and then you pull a few more times, you get nothing, you're probably going to walk away going, that was a good run. But if you now sit down and you put in money, you get nothing, you get nothing, you get nothing, you get nothing. But then like the 9th pull, you get a couple of bucks, like, got some, okay. And then you keep doing, you will still probably lose most likely at the end of the night, but you'll felt like, oh man, I was so close. It was almost there. Oh, I was just a couple pulls away, but I had to
The
go.
adrenaline rush.
Yes, all of those things will kind of be there. So Sunshine Bird, be very wary of that idea of hoping that your husband, at least when you're really, 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 really anxious, will give you an answer. Your threshold for being really, 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 really anxious is going to go down over time if that's the case. And it will just get to the point where you're going to want to demand answers all the time. So,
but bravo to both of you for working on it and communicating about it. That's huge.
Yes, we love to see that.
We're proud.
The support is nice, isn't it? Yeah,
it is.
Because, we've seen OCD go the other way and really negatively affect families and marriages and things like that as well, too. It
can be very isolating.
Yeah. Melanie says, how do you stop counting each breath you take while trying to fall asleep? Do you try to not do it or just allow it? When I allow it, it's very distracting and causes you anxiety. Thank you. Well, you're a damned if you do, damned if you don't in this one, aren't you? Because if you try not to do it, you're probably going to do it. And if you allow it, you're going to do it. So I wonder if you do maybe a third option of just you purposely do it. I am going to count everything tonight, right? And I'm not going to think of anything else whatsoever. I'm only going to count on breathing and everything like that. And if you really try to focus in on that, I'm wondering if other things will start popping in your head.
I call those my boring exposures.
Tell me more.
Well, yeah, when you finally focus on it and really focus on it, you're going to get bored. Eventually your brain is going to go oh, okay, this is enough. I don't actually want to think about this anymore. And I've had clients where we do that in session or they practice for homework and they're usually cracking up within, I would say on average, 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
So oh yeah, my brain is naturally now starting to float to other things that I want to be thinking about. And so that can be helpful sometimes to just try that. And then maybe you're spending 2 minutes on that exposure versus the 45 minutes you might be weaving in and out. So like you said, try focusing on it and seeing what happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's where I would go as well too.
Our brains get bored.
Our brains are weird, aren't they?
Fascinating.
Yeah. And weird and fascinating. But I love that juxtaposition of the more I try to think of something, the more likely I'll think of something else. And the more I try not to think of something, the more likely I'm going to think of that thing. By the way, just a reminder, everyone, you're listening to the Wednesday night webinar brought to you by No CD. You got 2 No CDers here tonight, by the way. Yep. 2 for the price of 1. And the price was free. But anyway, and
that's what they should pay.
For this crew, yeah. If you're looking for help with obsessive compulsive disorder or body-focused repetitive behaviors or tics or hoarding, we do that work here at No CD, and we would love for you to check us out. Go to nocd.com or treatmyocd.com. And we do work already in the US and Canada and the United Kingdom and Australia. But doesn't matter where you are in the world, give us a call. Let's see if we can hook you up with something and try to give you some help. So we would love to be able to do that. You could do that by downloading our app. You can go online and click the button on our website. And you can also call as well, too. There's a phone number on there as well. We'll get back to you. We'll do a free 15-minute call with you to see what we might be able to do to help you out.
And our therapists are very excited to work with you, too. It's such a caring group of therapists that we work with, and they go through a lot of training and have questions. I don't know. Do you ever tell them about all the consult groups?
Yeah, I mean, well, and we had that fun 2 nights ago. We did a fun webinar talking about all the training that we do with our therapists. So
that's right. You had your open house.
We did our open house, and it was great. In fact, we got therapists who were watching who wanted to apply. So that was wonderful. But there's continuous assessment that we do with the members that we work with, and there's continuous case consultation available for all of our therapists. We do not train and dump by any means. No. And someone even helps get free continuing education to our therapists as well, too. And we have it outside of No CD if you're a therapist as well.
Yeah, please.
But don't tell Stephanie it's free. She thinks she gets paid per person watching. So don't say
Lies. No, but it's definitely free for all the therapists, and we would love to have you there, whether you work with No CD or not. Please come and join us and learn with us.
Yes. Couch says, hey, Doc, any tips on deciphering between your conscience, some might call it God, and your OCD? You're afraid to confront OCD in the fear that you're confronting God. Thanks. Wow, great question. let me talk first about scrupulosity, because sometimes it feels like people are worshiping the OCD. Like it is the end all be all, know it all of everything. And I have to do everything that it tells me. And if I don't, something bad or awful is going to happen. So OCD is a very vengeful, awful God, right? Mm-hmm. And it gets you to doubt your beliefs about your own higher power or religious or spiritual experience, or even morals as well, too. And in fact, you don't even have to be religious to have religious-based OCD, because I work with atheists who think, I know there's not a God, but what if I'm wrong? And who still want to do prayers and things like that as well, too. So, but in this fear, this idea, I think what OCD is doing is it's kind of masking itself or maybe camouflaging itself under the auspices of, if you doubt me, you're really doubting God, because what you're actually hearing is the voice of God. And therefore, how can you doubt that? I mean, OCD can come across as a really high authority on things. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, maybe it would be bad to confront OCD, because you'd really be doubting your higher power. And that's the jerkiness of OCD, coming in like that and manipulating, again, the things that you love. You may be very passionate about a faith or religion or a higher power or a belief system or something like that. And OCD is going to go, oh, you like that? Well, we're going to take advantage of that then. What if you don't really like that? What if it isn't what you want? Or, I can mask myself like that, and now you'll have to listen to me, and you'll know that it's a sin or a bad thing to doubt or question me, because, well, frankly, you should never do that because I'm higher than you.
Mm-hmm. This is really making me think of a lovely young woman that I worked with a few years ago who was telling me similar things to what you're saying, Cal. And I believe the conversation eventually went something like, well, tell me, are your compulsions, the things that you're doing to avoid those thoughts, bringing you closer to your conceptualization of God, or actually creating what you feel is a distance between you and God? And for her, the answer was, oh my gosh, no, it's not. It's keeping me further away from my faith. And I was like, well, will God, in your perspective, want you to be further away, or does God want you to feel closer? And so for her, that was just a really wonderful conversation. And I appreciate her letting me into her faith and the way she thought about things, so that we could then, she's like, well, no, I'm definitely not going to do this. And it was some contamination stuff that she worked through. And I was very happy to see at the end that for her, she said one of her outcomes was that she felt much closer to God and her faith for herself by the end of treatment. So I think kind of that was a helpful perspective, sort of. This is the way that you're then reacting to these thoughts, bringing you any closer or further away from your faith and what you think your faith wants for you.
Yeah. So OCD will try to scare you away from confronting itself by telling you, this is really God, and you should never doubt God. So therefore, don't ever doubt me, because I'm God. And again, what a jerky move by OCD to do that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Is the wolf in sheep's clothing. Hollow says, what should I do if I feel like I can't breathe and keep deep breathing and am focused on your breathing? Thanks in advance. Well, another, just like the breathing one earlier, these are a somatic-based OCD experience. And we brought that up in the talk this morning. Actually, we were talking about this, and I was talking to a bunch of medical students, and we said how once you start thinking about blinking or breathing, I bet everyone in this room in the next minute will now wonder if they blinked well enough, and pretty much everybody agreed.
100 psychiatrists.
Oh, wait, yeah. Oh my God, did I? And they were doing, saw a few of those, and that kind of thing too. And it's like, all you got to do is bring this into attention, and then you'll wonder suddenly if you're doing it the right way. Mm-hmm. So OCD can take something that happens naturally that involves zero thinking whatsoever, is literally located in the oldest part of the brain from an evolutionary perspective.
Your terrible drawing.
My terrible drawing of the brain, which maybe you'll all be lucky one day to see. But like so far back here that there is no thought to it whatsoever. It's just an automatic regulation thing. Mm-hmm. And but once you start doubting it, and if it's doing it the right way, boy, it can really screw things up. Do you golf at all?
I do.
You do?
Not well.
Not well.
I score with smiley faces or hashtag symbols.
Okay, very good.
But it's a good time.
Yeah. A great way to ruin your golf game, though, right?
Oh, yeah. Think about it.
Think about your golf game. Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Or have your husband in your line of sight at the same time. Get out of my view. No, I don't want to do it.
Boy, yeah. If you want to kill your golf game, think about your golf game.
Yep.
Absolutely. And, the time for that is lessons and things like that. But if you start overthinking it, in fact, we've seen pros even on TV, like the third hole, walk off the course because they are so in their head that they can't get out of it, that they know that they're done. They're just it's not gonna go anywhere. They're not in it. Something is off. And the same kind of thing happens in these situations. When you take something that is natural and you start having to control it, and we could see it too. Like, why did my hands just go up? Oh my, what did it mean? And wait, did I try to move my hand? Was I trying to hold Stephanie's hand? Oh my, and you're married. And oh my God, what am I in your house for? And all, and all these kinds of things. You could start to just wonder and doubt all of that kind of stuff about why our bodies did anything in any way whatsoever. Fair game. Everything from what I look at to how I breathe to how I move or anything like that. OCD will get you to doubt anything. You want to take that one?
Let's see. Something that I'm struggling with lately is if I meet someone else that is a girl, I automatically think that they will like me more than a friend. I'm a male. When they do not text me back, it makes me... Did not finish sentence. ERP question mark.
Maybe there'll be some more. Sometimes there's one that comes down.
We'll follow back up with that.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, nice support here in the chat too.
I love that people.
Thanks, Lana.
Do you have to be diagnosed by a psychiatrist? No, absolutely not. And the therapists through OCD do diagnosing as well too. So it can be a counselor, it can be a social worker, it can be LMFTs, psychologists. Absolutely, lots of opportunities for diagnoses. Right. You don't want labels, Don. You just want to feel better. Well, you can, and we would suggest doing some good ERP could really be helpful with that as a way to help you feel better. Suzanne says, are you going to have information on hoarding in groups? You're new to this agency. Well, welcome, first of all. And we do treat hoarding, so we would be happy to help you with that. And I'll have to take a look at what the groups are on hoarding right now. So we'll work with Tia on that, and we'll get some information out for you. Paige asks, what are some helpful tips to treat relationship OCD and intrusive thoughts that come with it? Well, I think you want to take a look first is what is the relationship OCD telling you? Is it comparing your relationship to other ones that you see? Do you see your neighbors holding hands more and then think, well, maybe they like each other more than me and my spouse like each other or something like that? Is it doubts about, are you the right ones for each other? I worked with someone once who was of a religious faith who thought that they would be married even after death and therefore wondered, what if 10,000 years from now we're not attracted to each other?
It's really looking ahead.
It's really looking ahead. I mean, that's some forethought that's required there. But it was legitimate fear for them that, that kind of concern. So how do you approach relationship anxiety? What kind of things do you do?
Yeah, I mean, keep hearing us say it, but going back to exposure and response prevention, but in those cases, sometimes it will involve the significant other, partner, spouse, educating them first and foremost and kind of understanding what their experience is with OCD on their end. Are they getting a lot of reassurance seeking behaviors and tell me that you love me and reassure me we're going to be in this together. So how in them can we separate them from doing the compulsions and talk about how that's going to impact the relationship short term too, and having patience with each other and kindness. And so that's definitely like an additional part that I might do earlier on in the treatment is talk about what does the partner know or not know about OCD at that point, because sometimes they have never even disclosed it. Right. And then from there, certainly designing personalized exposures for what they are experiencing, whether it might be for one client, it was, okay, we're going to go a whole entire week. We worked up to it, but a week without asking their partner, do you love me? Ooh. And,
oh, wow. Yeah.
For them, that was really uncomfortable because it eventually, but what was their behavior during the week and gathering some additional information. What are we learning during this week and processing, were you able to handle that at the end? And did your significant other even notice after a few days? Did you even notice after a few days that it wasn't happening? And let's tell each other we love each other and find a way to work that in. But for them, it was a very strong compulsion that was happening with reassurance seeking at the time. So, again, I kind of go back to exposure and response prevention and just trying to understand for them what it particularly looks like in the relationship at the time.
It's interesting how in some couples, they could just all have fun and play and be like, do you love me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But in other couples, do you love me?
Right.
And now you can't delay your answer at all. It has to be spot on right there. You can't look around, and anything. And if anything seems off, it's like, oh, shoot, they didn't quite answer right away. Maybe that means something. What did I do? And just the rabbit hole then that somebody could go down in that situation as well, too. So that is why we would want to put a pause on asking somebody that, if your partner wants to tell you they love you, that's up to them for the next week.
Right. It's just, you couldn't do it in response to me asking you to tell me that you love me.
Yeah.
Yes. But they could spontaneously see it and hear it. Yeah. And actually that was interesting for some of the clients because they're like, oh, they do say it without me asking for it, but I was asking so much.
Yeah.
And then the partner would come back and say, it was actually really nice for me to just say it to you without it feeling like you were telling me to say it at the time, because I do feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When even if you truly feel it, when it's forced, it might not have the genuineness to it that you would want it to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Fascinating work in the OCD world.
We love it.
We do love helping people who have this overcome this, because I'll tell you what, we hate OCD.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We're not fans whatsoever.
No.
Art Bai, welcome, first timer. Glad to have you here. Is it common to have ADD and OCD? Well, there you say now you're 33 and you think you have it. I would say, first of all, go and get a great evaluation and really go to an ADD specialist who will use all the scales and appropriate, diagnostic tools and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we've treated people who have both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Will NoCD therapy accept Apple Health Washington soon? We'll check with John, our buddy, because he's our guy. So we can look into that for you. Thanks, Marlene.
We work hard to expand coverage for sure.
Mm-hmm. Hello to both of us. And now people are look. We're posted starting. See, yeah. All right.
Okay. Hi, Nicole. All right, come back in. They're here for you. Hi, Nicole. Thanks for doing this. We're happy to. I have a weird feeling of misreading and mishearing things related to my theme that's current. Any idea how to ERP this? I tried to just ignore it. For example, the word is bill, but I hear kill, while my harm OCD is spite. I know that's not what I hear, but it scares the heck out of me.
And it's a movie, Kill Bill, if I remember correctly.
Well, There we go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You want to take that one?
Yeah, I think I would be doing some exposure to the word kill and be repeating that over and over again. And most likely, again, your brain's going to get kind of bored with it at some point, and you might even giggle a little to yourself and go, oh, okay, there it is. So I would probably do some repetition exposure with that, maybe writing it down over and over again. I know you mentioned hearing it specific. Oh, misreading as well. Mm-hmm. So you could also write it down several times and reread that as well. Maybe listen to some sort of audio that has the word in it.
Sure.
A story or something.
You could watch the movie Kill Bill, actually.
Well, there we go. Actually.
But then you might worry the movie was Bill Kill instead of Kill Bill if you're...
Oh, now you're just having fun.
Well, but think about it. I mean, that's what it would be, because the movie says the word Bill a lot as well, too. So, and they say Kill Bill in there a lot, too. So this would be a very interesting kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You could also maybe go to pay a bill and purposely say the word kill, even in front of someone else. Mm-hmm. Hi, I'm here to pay my kill. I mean bill today for the water or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And just do that and get it out of your system and realize, oh, look, nobody really cared about that or thought anything odd. And even if they did, they're going to forget about it within about 20 seconds after you're gone, and the next person's there to pay their bill as well. So, I've always been fascinated that in anxiety, tell me what you think. In anxiety, it's like if I do one thing wrong, it's recorded forever. No one will ever forget it. They're going to tell all their friends and family, and it'll be on the 9 o'clock news as a lead story as well.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that. Yeah.
I know.
You know.
I know. Yep. Just another idea that kind of came up, Nicole, too, was sometimes there are these apps where you can do like voice changers.
Ooh.
And saying the words into that has sometimes been fun for my clients in session to hear it like sung back to them or to hear it said in a different language even. That just kind of changes up our relationship to what we expect to feel when we hear that word. So that might be another fun way to sort of like play with getting some distance from the word and being able to look at it differently.
Oh, that's really cool. Delta says, is it common for those with sexual-related OCD subtypes to find anything sexual as dangerous, even sexual things that align with your values? I wouldn't be off kilter for OCD to do something of that nature, that's for sure. OCD is great at misinterpreting things. So, you know, although the one misinterpretation I've never seen from OCD is this. No one has ever walked in my office or onto a Zoom and said to me, Dr. McGrath, I'm afraid everyone loves me and thinks I'm awesome.
Oh.
You ever have that?
No.
No one's ever come in with that one. That's never been a misinterpretation that everyone's afraid of whatsoever.
It's not very happy. Yeah. Or I'm convinced I'm going to win the lotto.
Yeah. Aaron says, thanks for doing this. Well, you know, having the pro here, I mean, use that word purposely for many reasons.
Old school no OCD joke.
Yep. What do I do when the OCD makes you think you want to do something bad? Well, boy, you use one of my favorite phrases, makes me think. OCD just throws out things. OCD doesn't make anybody do anything. Yeah. So let me challenge that piece a little bit first, because OCD will throw out an idea. What if you were to kill that person or run that person over? I want to differentiate to that's not making you think that you want to do something bad. That's throwing bad ideas out there in the world and you're reacting to them, right? And I say that purposely because people sometimes will say, well, OCD makes me and or anxiety makes me not be able to get on an elevator or something of that nature. And yet, if the building was on fire and the elevator was the only way to get out, I'm betting you'd get on the elevator, right? So you'd have an override in the situation if something was even more scary and led you to do certain things. So I'm very wary of anything makes me do anything. And I remember Joel Milner, one of our professors, talked about this all the time as well, too. New clinicians would come into our program and they would say, you know, tell me about the session. Well, I made them do this. And he said, no, we don't make anybody do anything. It's always somebody's choice to do something, right?
Choose or choose not.
That's
you can
right.
also choose not.
That's right. So OCD will throw things out at you that you feel are about things that are bad. And you have a choice to react to them as if to be afraid of them or not. Now, we joked earlier about your staircase. It is a pretty steep staircase. I'm going to throw it. And we said Stephanie could walk behind me and push me down the stairs tonight. It is possible. Now, I'm thinking something bad, right? So should I only take the stairs if you're not around? Or should I let you go down first and then I will go down the stairs after you're at the bottom? Or what I'll purposely do, and I promise this to all of you, I'm going to walk down the stairs and make sure she's right behind me on the stairs. And I'm going to tell her to push me down the stairs while we're going down the stairs.
Oh, but then I might have a thought in my head if you tell me that I should do it.
Well, you already have it now because you're already thinking it. So, yeah.
So then it'll be my choice about whether or not I push it, right? Even though I don't like it, I'm uncomfortable with even having that thought.
Right. So now we'd have to decide, will having that thought in your head make you push me down the stairs? This goes back to the make me, right? And that's why I wanted to start with that, because it's going to come back to that. Will that thought make you push me down the stairs tonight?
No, it's my choice.
Okay. Keep that in mind, everyone, right? Keep that in mind. You get this notion that OCD is going to make you do things, and only because you did a compulsion did it not happen. But we could have the exact same thought of anybody who we're working with not to do a compulsion and also not have anything happen as well. So why did OCD make you do something, but those same intrusive thoughts not make us do something? Because thoughts don't make things happen. Images don't make things happen. Urges don't make things happen.
Right. Can I do a little thing?
Yeah, go, please.
So I don't know. What do I have here? I'll just grab this pen. Okay.
All right.
So Patrick, I want you to think and use your thoughts to control this pen so that it does not fall to the ground. Give it your very best effort.
All right.
No.
It fell to the ground.
Okay. I'm going to give you another try.
All right.
Okay. This time, is there anything you can do to make sure that this doesn't fall to the ground?
There are things I could do to make sure it doesn't fall to the ground.
Let's see. All right. So you made a choice to actually move your body.
Right.
Even though you had the same thoughts both times that you didn't want the marker to fall to the ground.
Right.
Right. So it's like behavior is really what is going to execute something, and you have to make a choice on it. Your thoughts alone are not going to save that marker. It's not going to prevent it from falling to the ground. You have to make a choice and do something or not do something.
Correct. Well. I think that's so great because so many people are caught up in the notion that thoughts are bad or dangerous.
Yeah.
Or images are, or urges are. I wouldn't have stood for 3 hours at a train track with someone behind me telling them to push me into a train if I actually had a fear that they would do it. They were afraid they were going to do it. I had zero fear they were going to do it. And therefore, it didn't bother me whatsoever that I did that for 3 hours. Right? If I for a second thought that their thought would make them do it, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any belief whatsoever that was the case. So I hope all of you really...
Because that was OCD.
That. Yeah. And I don't believe OCD. Mm-hmm. If I did, I wouldn't be a good OCD therapist. Because then I would say to people, it's probably right. Yeah, you're probably good for doing compulsions. Yeah.
That would not go so well.
No, that would not go so well. I don't think I'd keep a license very long if that was the case. No. So... JP says you feel anxious and agitated in periods of depression. Is that OCD? Well, those can be parts of OCD. Those in and of themselves may not, or we don't know you enough from that sentence, but I would definitely say those can be things that are associated with OCD for sure.
And very understandable.
Of course.
OCD can be very intense at different times. And of course, you're going to be, we all are doing our best all the time. Right. So if you're putting your all into it and the symptoms are really intense some days, of course, you're very reasonable to feel agitated over that. This is hard work.
Yeah.
But like you say, too, like it's hard work to live with the OCD. It's hard work to do the treatment. Either way, we're working hard. Let's get the treatment.
We are working hard. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Hope says you suffer with perfection OCD and you have no therapist that will help you. Well, we hope you'll check us out at OCD because we have people who do a lot of that. In fact, Taylor might have written a book on OCD.
Yeah.
If I remember.
One of our clinical directors.
Yes.
The, clinical training director. Taylor Newendorf has a wonderful book on, you can buy it on Amazon.
Yeah.
And he's important. He probably gets pennies for it, but
we all do.
It's a wonderful book on perfectionism. And if there's any therapists joining us, we actually have a CE course that we do with Taylor as well that we will put on the calendar for 2024.
I guess you have to introduce yourself because Love Lana says, "Who's the lovely lady here?"
Lovely. I think you added that. Hi, Lana.
Because of Love Lana, yes.
I am Stephanie Lansway. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and I specialize in treatment of OCD and using evidence-based treatments for related anxiety disorders, BFRBs, tics, and I've been with NoCD for about coming up on 5 years here. And,
which is like 10 years for regular time.
Right, yeah, we move quick around here. And so we would just happen to be, Patrick was in town earlier doing a talk, and he was like, "You're going to jump on the call with me later today?" I'm like, "Great, okay, here we go."
I basically ordered it.
Mm-hmm. And now I just work with NoCD, helping direct our clinical, our continuing education program for our therapists and outside therapists.
Zanelli says, how do you deal with feeling that you're stuck and maybe you can't recover? Again, just because we feel things doesn't mean they're true, right? Another phrase I talk about all the time. So in addition to this makes me, the other one is I feel like, and I feel like is not a great indicator of much of anything, right? So when I work with people, I always try to say, don't tell me what you feel like. Tell me what's actually going on, right? I feel like you're not listening to me versus I notice that you're falling asleep while we're talking. It's just like, okay, give me actual behavioral things. No patient said that, but I just want to, it's not like I fall asleep on anybody. It's the first thing that popped in my head. But don't get caught up in this notion that you're feeling like you're something only because that's a phrase that OCD loves.
Emotional reasoning.
Yes. Talk about that more. David Burns and cognitive distortions. And things.
Yeah. So emotional reasoning is a trap that we all fall into sometimes with our thoughts, where if I think it, if and I feel it, it must be true. And this is a great example of emotional reasoning. And then, like Patrick said, you can either test that thought with doing some exposures. You can do a little cognitive challenging too and look at all the evidence that is against that. I actually think there's some interesting research with Dweck's work from, I think it's Dweck, who did mindset research when it came to intelligence. And then we adapted that concept and applied it to social anxiety. And this was I thought, a cool study where we had incoming freshmen for college and we asked them, okay, how socially anxious are you? So we got like their baseline right before they started college. And then, do you think you can change your social anxiety? That was all we asked. Yes or no? Is your mindset fixed and you don't think it can change, or is it flexible and you believe that change is possible? And we only just asked them a question, and we followed up with them months later. And I don't know if you remember, but what we found is that the people who had the fixed mindset and said, no, I can't change, I'm stuck, their social anxiety scores actually stayed the same or even got a little bit worse. Mm-hmm. And we did no intervention, by the way. It was we just followed up with them simply. How are you doing 6 months later? The individuals who had a variable, flexible mindset and thought that, my social anxiety is flexible, I can get better, it's not going to be this way forever because I have some control over my reactions in my life. They were doing great. Their social anxiety scores actually lessened. Again, this is not with an intervention in the middle either. It was simply following up with, does your mindset matter? And it does. So one way to deal with the feeling that you're stuck and maybe can't recover is just to try to put yourself in that flexible mindset. And I don't know, I think that research is interesting too, to go, I should do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you open to the idea that you can change? Or are you stuck in the notion that this is going to be this way forever? Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. That plays a big role in things.
And it might be helpful too to just make a list of your accomplishments and things that you've challenged and remind yourself where things are going really well sometimes too, and your own successes, because we all need that too sometimes.
Yeah. Hope, just so you know, we do take lots of insurances here at OCD, so I hope that that might be something that would be helpful for you if you're looking for a therapist. And probably our last question of the night. Appropriately from Stephanie, actually. Spelled the correct way, too. Look at that. Yeah. How do I try to allow an intrusive thought to be there and carry on with my day? You find it so hard to do this. So after this, I'm going to drive home. Yeah. I'm going to...
Gotta go.
Yeah. I'm getting kicked out. They're like, out of here. Had enough of you. A day of you is like a year's worth of time, way too much. But I will commit to thinking that I'm going to die in a car crash on the way home tonight.
Okay. Mm-hmm. He's in it with you guys.
Yep. And I'm still going to drive. And if you remember 2 weeks ago, I showed all of you the card in my wallet that says, I hope my parents die tonight, please God, and has a 666 on it. Well, and it's been in there for 17 years. And I carry that around with me in my wallet every day as well, too. So I kind of carry around an intrusive thought all the time. So the idea is you have to practice this, right? You have to practice being able to allow for a thought to be there and not try to do something about it. So I wonder, when you say you find it hard to do this, how much time of your day are you spending trying to neutralize the thought or the image or the urge?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like it's exhausting.
It can be, but when you recognize that, doesn't matter the things really that pop into your head, because a great deal of the things that pop in our head are just ridiculous. Yeah, that and you become okay with that. Well, life gets a lot easier.
Yeah, and you know what? A fun thing I like to talk about too is we're not surprised that our heart keeps beating, right? That is just something we don't really think about. But
well,
somehow
now
we're
I'm
shocked-
thinking about it
Well,
because you
okay,
just
so
brought it
maybe
up.
we are. Okay, a little somatic OCD. But we are sometimes shocked to think that our brains want to keep thinking.
Yeah.
Right? Like, can't it just be quiet? No, it can't.
No.
It's just the brain wants to have another thought, to have another thought, to have another thought. So sometimes too, it's about like expectations too, and also just looking at your brain and go, hey, you're doing a good job. You really are thinking hard today.
Yeah.
You know, you're moving fast, and I'm just going to let that thought train pass on through. Or you can do some mindfulness sort of maybe exercises too. That can be really helpful, which we can talk about at a different time. But
well, we'll have to have you on again sometime.
Thanks for having me, everybody.
Yeah, and thanks for listening again. Check us out at nocd.com or treatmyocd.com. We're an online-based platform for the treatment of OCD and related disorders. We'd love to be able to help you. We've got insurance coverage throughout the U.S., and we do work also in other countries as well, too. So reach out to us. You can click that button on the app for the therapist. You can also go, again, to treatmyocd.com or nocd.com and hit the button that will allow you to set up a time with one of our care team members or give us a call as well, too. We'd love to work with you because we want that pesky darn OCD to go away, not be interfering in your life anymore. Stephanie, it was a joy.
Same.
Thank you.
Bye.
Later, everybody.